Morning. Welcome to the Peace Place. This is Coach Judy, and I invite you to learn with me how to live in that place of peace that passes all understanding. If it's an unfamiliar concept with you, I want to assure you that you can learn the pathway to establish peace as a way of life. Today I bring you a word, a word of hope and encouragement in a world that often is far from that. This word is a reminder to all of us that God is real, God is all knowing, and has a plan and is responsive to our questions. As our plan unfolds, God will order our steps into the goodness of love's agenda. Many of the roadblocks that we continue to have in our life every day, they remain in place because we keep doing the same thing the way that we've always done it and the way we've always learned. Often the ways that we have known are without the living, loving, all-knowing, compassionate, powerful God. And God, in his plan and infinite wisdom, gave us his spirit to be our teacher, leader, and guide. So we don't have to remain in ignorance or in self reliance. As we notice the patterns and ways that we live, we can learn God's ways and love's rules. This collection of steps that he has given me over time are now called the Peace Movement and it's designed to allow us each to walk through a private, intimate pathway, discovering God's unconditional love and the purpose and plan that he has for our life. We get to discover our uniqueness and how guide and have guidance to walk through that plan. It was 8 years ago after my mom passed that I went to God and I asked him for the plan that he had for my life. Because if you don't have your mom still on earth, you know that's a real transforming time in your life. And I wanted to know what the next steps were that God had for me. And as I asked him, I heard him say, "If you will learn to abide in me, I will abide in you, and I will be your teacher, your leader, and your guide." Well, I asked him to show me how to do that, and he did. To my amazement, he developed me as a penman of prayers. Up until that point, I'd written one poem in my life. I had never aspired to be a writer, or I just, as I moved through the decades of my life, I always had this passion in my heart to make a difference in people's lives. So he helped me learn how to write, and the we now have a trademark on the name. It's called Prayons, and what they basically are is my prayers to God, and they came out as poetry. And I am constantly amazed at how every time that I read one, every time that I move through it, I can feel the transforming love of God in my heart, showing me the next step on a path, bringing gentle, tender correction, the kind of correction I wasn't used to. It's a very, very powerful and transforming thing that he does for us when we learn how to abide in him. So today, there are over 1,000 of these stories that God gave me, and the theme starts with him kind of saying, "This is how you all are. This is how mankind is," and talks to us a little bit about that, and then goes, and in the middle of it, they transition and say, no matter what it is that you're doing, no matter what it is that you've done, there are answers, there are wisdom, and when you turn to me, I'll show you those things. So I am constantly amazed. They come to me as fast as I can pen them. And I've written most of them on my poem. And I almost always have a smile on my face because he amazes me with the power and the passion of his love each time. So today, I invite you to listen and engage with me. The prayer for this day is titled Man's Thinking and God's Calling. And this is Friday live. So if you have any questions about um, what all this is about at the end, after I finish, I will have some time for the questions. So the prayer for today is called Man's Thinking, God Calling. What's that? There, Lord, between you and me, habits give what? But a lifetime at sea. What's that there? That which I'm always expecting, adrift and blocked from your amazing perfecting. Yes, I profess you as Lord. Yes, my mouth wants your leading, yet my heart is still guarded. My hand still, my mind still preceding your voice. Those thoughts I know so familiar to me, all those ways I was shown taught me to be not like you. Those thoughts lead my walking. Those thoughts lead my talking. Those thoughts occupy all my time. Those thoughts, they defined me. Those thoughts sometimes blind me. Those thoughts want my life in its prime. Thoughts filled with familiar themes, made of futile and old worn out schemes, causing each day to look like the past. Yet my heart's cry, this must not last. Is that you, God? Did I hear through the chatter? Do my heart and my life really matter? Your mind fully available to me? I seek you, and you'll set me free. Your word, yes, it's true. You made me like you, but it's not through my mind I'll get back there. God, just keep me awake to all that it takes to step over the traps and the snares. The seduction of thoughts, reactions abound, emotions feel oh so true, opinions most firm keep on spinning around, but not me, not this time. I choose you. You, yes, the keeper of peace unsurpassed. You, as the author of love that lasts. Yes, you, the one who spoke in my ear. Choose life and embrace it, for it is most dear. Yes, love, I will guide you, hide my love deep inside you, pull you up when it feels like you're falling. I'll surely bring forth your calling. I'm faithful. Yes, God speaks to us, and He desires for us to be connected and in communion with Him. And because it's unfamiliar for most of us, it takes some practice. It takes tremendous amount of faith. It's believing that God is, and He is a rewarder of those who diligently seek Him. So we can hear from Him, and there are times it's still amazing. This prayer was written probably in 2012. It's one of the earlier ones that I wrote, and even as I was sharing it with you, I realized how much freedom He has given me in my thinking, how much He has revealed to me about the availability and the tenderness and the depth of His love during this time. Because there was the time in my life where those thoughts that I had, I thought that was all there was. But as God continued to reshape and remold me, into his love. I find that many of these things are very past experiences for me, and I give God praise for that, because he demonstrates his progressive freedom as we learn more and more about him as we walk. The themes and the patterns, and they're sometimes called scripts, that we have are pretty much dominate our lives. When in part of the 40 years of studying that I did to discover what I now get to share with you, I realized that I could, and I was trained to do this, and I used to teach processes, and I found that we really can listen to two or three sentences that someone speaks, and we can determine how those patterns will draw them away from love and draw them away from peace and keep them embroiled in the turmoil of life. And it was when I was learning those things, I said to myself, there's got to be more. There's got to be a place of peace. And now I've discovered that's where it is, and that's part of what I get to share with you. God's word is true always. He is faithful. And we will always be pulled because there's so many agendas there in the world that are trying to pull us off track. But there is a private, intimate place that we can go into the presence of God, and we can hear from Him. And I willingly now ask Him to search my heart and create in me a clean heart and a steadfast spirit, because partially because of the amount of things I discovered that weren't God. At one point, I said to him, I says, if you want me completely committed to you and submitted to you, why did you allow me to do all the things I did? And he said, because how I would use you in the kingdom, I had to make sure you know who I'm not. I know a lot about who God is not, and I choose His love and His guidance, because the ways of mankind, the ways of the world are futile, and they're circular, and they're cyclical. So there's so much power and love and peace and tenderness when we discover a pathway of the one who spoke it all and has a plan for each one of us. So if there's anybody out there that has any questions about what I shared today or what the peace movement is about, I'll take those now. Oh, thanks. It says, we love you, Judy. Your prayer was awesome. Okay. Yeah, there's somebody that follows on our website that listens to Peel Me Back, which was one that I penned early in this journey, and it goes, peel me back, Lord, that which I've known me to be, until I reach raw honesty and authenticity with you, connected and intimate. And it has 4 or 5 more stanzas, but I think the cry and the hunger out there so much is we say, sometimes not even out loud, I wish there was more than this stress and this peace, or the stress and the chaos of life. Well, I can tell you that there is, and there's a way that we can go to God, and He won't rip us apart. He will gently peel off the layers, and as He pulls that back in His Word, He says that He will exchange beauty for our ashes, and so much of the way we think and we have learned to be, and how we have agreed with other agendas that are not good for us. But sometimes we have settled for that because it's all we know that there is. But I'm here to tell you that there's so much more available. It's only been the last few years that I even knew that joy could be possible for me. And as I get to share it with you, I find this bubbling up of joy inside of me. And it's not that I'm ignorant of the trials of the world, because I've walked so many of them. But I know that when my mind is on God, there is perfect peace. And He said The joy of the Lord is my strength, and I'm finding that to be true more and more as I go on. So let's take a look at, do you have any other questions? Well, not for today. But if during this broadcast, if there were any moments that piqued your interest, I want to encourage you to know that you can learn whatever is needed to be a part of an agenda for good, and that being part of an agenda that makes a difference in our world today. In some ways that you can do that, if you want to connect with us and understand more about what the peace movement, what crayons, and what this whole thing is about, you can subscribe first of all to the channel here, because Monday through Friday at 11 I'm going to bring you a message, another crayon. I just love sharing them because they, every time I read them, they transform my life, and I hope they're a blessing to you. You can explore our website. It's prayoms.com. That's prayoems.com, and gain understanding of the peace movement. Find your place in making a difference with love, for love, and peace within, with another, and then to the world. Well, this is Coach Judy. I count it a privilege every day that I get to have a platform that I can share a word of love and a word of encouragement to you. I'm signing out for today and inviting you to join me Monday through Friday, live at 11. Peace and love to you today.